What up, with your boy Marco from Upside Down Studios. It is What the Fuck Wednesday. How's everybody doing tonight? We ain't got really too much going on. Everybody just kind of kicking herself in the dick in Washington. Kind of curious on extending our conversation that Dino and I had a couple days ago on one of the other shows on the whole AI and God thing, and talk about a few other things. Ain't nothing real spectacular going on. Before we start this mess, I'd like to give a shout out to Nancy Leggero. She's the lady who owns and runs the shelter that I volunteer at. She's in the hospital right now, having some heart issues. And my mama, ironically enough, is in the hospital right now with some heart issues. So hope y'all feeling better. Don't listen to this show because I'm sure your blood pressure will go up. That being said, let me bring in our motherfucking gracious co-host, one of our co-hosts from the tundra of the 51st state, Dino the genetic motherfucking marvel.
What up?
On the 2s and 3s, we're going to have bopping in and out. We got motherfucking Greg in the house. Say hi and then go.
What up, y'all?
What up, Greg?
Shit, got a bunch of stuff going on, so I'm gonna be in and out all night.
Man, that's what she said.
Right. Definitely didn't mention what kind of ins and outs.
It is his cousin, and she is from Tennessee. Just say it. Just say it.
All right, y'all.
And wait a minute, Greg. I want you to hear this.
Okay.
And for the one other friend of ours that be up in his cousin's DMs, quit being a fucking douchebag. Go find your own woman.
Who?
Oh shit.
Well, this just got weird.
No, it didn't get weird. It got waste.
God.
So, all right. See you in a little bit, Greg.
All right, y'all. I don't want to hear this shit anyway.
Yeah, we had to waste him.
I mean, that happens. That happens to a lot of people. Sometimes you need to be wise. That's just
no. I don't believe in wasting. Very, very, very seldom do I waste on my fucking show here.
I'm with you, but at the same time, you know, some people need to be explained that they're horrible. It's, you know, and the only way is just to be like, all right, nobody needs to hear you talk. Just click, and it's, you know, it's just one of those things. Yeah, it's hump day. I don't know. Are you having a good day? So apparently everyone in your all the older women in your life have heart problems.
Apparently, you know,
is it your fault? Like 50,
I keep my distance. You know, Nancy, she owns and runs the shelter, but she knows I'm there usually before anybody. I'm there in the mornings, and I kind of keep to myself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that trauma we were talking about on the mental health show. You know, when I started doing the shelter, it was me and my ex. My ex started there, and she got me into doing it, and then you know, she kind of backed away from it, and I just stayed with it. And you know, when her and I were done, you know, she still had friends that worked there, and you know, I happened to ask a girl if she wanted to go smoke one day. All fucking hell broke loose, so I don't speak to nobody there. You know, I'll go there in the morning. I take care of the upstairs dogs. You know, that's like the VIP. Compared to the rest, you know, all the upstairs dogs, they get extra treats. They it looks like more of a house conditions and stuff. And everybody else, if you need a hand, I'll come and give you a hand. But yeah, I'm taking my ass back upstairs. I don't trust none of y'all shady bitches.
I mean, like, okay, but that's I find the reality is you're like, I don't want headaches. I just want to do what I do. Just leave
Yeah,
me
that's my
alone to do my
peace. That's
thing.
my little bit of peace in the morning. Just
Definitely.
going to hang out with them dogs. I ain't home. I love my dogs here, but
Yep.
those are,
Yeah.
I get a good 2-3 hours away, sometimes more, and just let me do my thing, man. Just let me do my. If you need a hand, I will gladly help you, but if not, fuck off.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And also too, like I have always found like I try and be friendly, uh and like also just to compensate for the murder face, right? Where I'm just like I'm not trying to be
Right.
mean.
Yeah, I totally get it. Cause you see me with a fucking skull cap on and a fucking
Yeah.
dressed in all black and it's fucking 5 in the morning, maybe 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You gotta say something little quick witted before you end up getting maced.
100%. Bro, that's the funny part is that I was of the same thing like today. Um I did mushrooms this morning. So I took 7 grams of mushrooms and had a fantastic trip. It was great. But at the same time, like I go outside, it dropped to like -12 the last couple days for no reason whatsoever.
Cause you
And
knows the pussy.
I mean, that is most likely the issue. But so the thing is, so I'm bundled up. I go outside for a smoke, and I'm kind of just walking around the backyard, just checking things out because snow's melting, so I can access everything. And at the same time, I'm like, bro, if I saw me in someone else's backyard, I'd call the police. And I was like, man, it like, bro, that's the thing is, I'm standing out there in my own backyard, and it's like also I just look sketchy at the same time, and I'm like, yeah, I think I should be happy that people don't like because I walk around the street and everything, like just for a quick walk, and as soon as I see people, I'm like, hello, and they're like, oh no, I'm like, all right, that's fine, yeah, do you? But
Yeah, I'm glad I grew up in the neighborhood and I'm in a neighborhood now where people don't speak to each other. When I was a kid in the projects, I told this story. You got your ass whipped from the
yeah,
beginning of the projects till you got home. But
yeah,
like the grown folks kind of spoke to each other when needed. Like
yeah,
like I said, my mom's in a hospital. I don't know
yeah.
what hospital she's in. She didn't need me. I'm not bothering her. Me and
I
my mom don't get along that good. You're in the hospital for your heart. What do you want to talk to an asshole that's gonna get your heart rate going or what?
Yeah. No, 100. Well, yeah, there's that. That's the other thing. I'm like, I was having a conversation with Cole earlier today, and it was like, I don't understand that mentality where it's like it's your mom. Like, if my mom was mean to me, like outwardly mean to me, only once. I was 18-ish,
Yeah,
and like,
you see how that's stuck in your head just
yeah,
the one time. Yeah,
one
yeah. Imagine a lifetime of it.
exactly. So it's like, so one time, and this was like, it was menopause and everything, and like, so I had like clothes all over my room, and she came in to wake me up in the morning because my mom loves me, and she saw my clothes, and she got angry and kind of threw my clothes around and was like, this place is a pigsty. And I just got up out of bed, and I'm like, I'm moving out, I'm not dealing with this, and I walked away. And I went to the bathroom for to piss in the morning. I came back, and she was sitting on my bed crying. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean it's, I'm dealing with it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I understand. I'm like, but that, like, don't take that on me. And she's like, no, it's just hormones and everything. And I learned, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, mom, I didn't know you were going through something. And it was like, okay, but I'm like, she never acted like that. Unless when I was young, she would, hit me with
I
a
can't
slipper and stuff.
believe you got to walk away.
Oh, you can't stop me. Like, it's not.
Oh,
Who's gonna stop me?
see, you grew up in the land where I'm bigger. I'll crush your head. I do what I want.
Correct.
I grew up in the land of, yeah, you big motherfucker, try me.
Yeah, no,
Before-
people didn't make that mistake twice. That was, yeah.
yeah,
'Cause
my mom,
yeah.
my mom has lost very few battles in her lifetime. And my mom hung out with nothing but thugs and drug dealers her whole life.
Yeah, that's not. See,
Yeah,
I've met women who are like that, and they're like, "You don't hand it." And I just look at them and going, "Are you good? Are you okay?" Like that's not.
that, that's when my mom turns Mexican and starts stabbing.
Yeah, I don't understand that whole thing because
Eventually,
like
eventually a 7-foot person will end up her 5'2", and then you're eye to eye with that bitch.
like I don't understand someone who's that angry, and you're like, hey, if you're that angry, like you need to fix your life. Like that's on you. And
Yeah,
they get even more mad, and I'm like, yeah, that's a you problem. I don't care.
yeah.
And
She knows that's a her problem, and she doesn't give a fuck. Her problem is everybody's problem.
yeah, that's so like, and that's the weird thing. Like, I told this example to Cole today, where I was like, so Victoria and I were in a line at Marshalls, right? Like TJ Maxx kind of thing, like that. I don't know if you guys have Marshalls or so. And the queue, the lineup is quite long, and it was during holiday season, so it's like there's a lot of people are doing stuff, right? And two old people kind of, you know how old people kind of pretend like they don't realize. And I looked at my wife right in front of them, and I'm like, "Can you imagine being that old and not knowing how to line up for things?" And they just both kind of stopped and looked at me, and I just looked them dead in the face. I'm like, "Yeah, you. I'm talking to you." And they were like, "Oh yeah," and then walked to the back of the line. I'm like, "Who the fuck? What's wrong with you? Like, you're an idiot." And like these people were minimum 65. Like, I'm like, you have nothing to do if you have anyone that loves you, and you're gonna piss people off. You're a piece of garbage. Like that's not, you know.
I went up to the Goodwill the other day. Got one right like about 5 blocks up the street from me because they get them big
Yeah.
totes, the plastic totes,
Yeah.
couple bucks a piece. You know, I'm cleaning up stuff. You know, I'm not going to pay $15 for a plastic tote that could break if I drop a wrench in it. You know,
Fair.
so I'm up in there. I got like 5 totes, and this old guy, like he's kind of huffing and puffing behind another a lady that's in line doing her thing. You know, the lady is not taking any over. You know, it's just normal going through the queue. So then the guy goes up there, and he's asking her all these type of questions about I think it was a pan, a fucking pan. Just
It's a Goodwill. You don't
right.
have questions. There's no question line, bro. Yeah.
So
Anyway.
so he's going on, and he looks at her, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, all I got is my fucking totes. All I want to do is fucking go clean. It's bad enough I got to go through this shit for these fucking assholes downtown.
Yeah.
Let me get my shit and go.
Yeah.
You know, this motherfucker has the nerve to look. First, he asked this girl, "Oh, so you stay around here? You this, you that?" And you know, the girl's being polite conversation, and you know, he's eyeballing this pan, and he's just, so do I get a discount on this pan? Can I have a discount on this pan? This is it's fucking $2.50, motherfucker. What the fuck kind of discount do you? He's like, I'm a senior citizen. No shit.
Like,
What do you want her to give it to you for free?
so like on one hand, I understand that, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. I get that, you know. Hey, is there a seniors discount? As a fair, I understand the question, but also you're at Goodwill. Let's calm the fuck down. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's the same idea. Like, I've had this up here where people will ask questions about products, and you're like, hey man, this is a thrift shop. This isn't their products. This is just stuff people dropped off.
Right.
There is no info. There's no tag. There's no, hey, is there another size? Just, what are you talking? Like, what are you on a different planet? Exactly. Like,
see, our Goodwill is ran by colors, and each day, you know, a different color gets a discount. And then on the weekends, which just was clearly not a weekend, the senior citizens get a discount. Which I don't even think the man wanted the pan. I think the man just wanted to hit on this fucking girl. But he was taking fucking 45 minutes of goddamn line when I just wanted to get the fuck through.
Like, that's
I'm trying to be polite, but I caught myself doing the shit my mom does. That overly loud.
Jesus. I have done that before where you're going, And they look back at you and you're like, yeah, that was to you. That's for you. That breathing, all you, brother. And that's yeah. Also,
and then you ever catch the ones, because this almost happened too, but the dude saw that I was already pissed, so he changed his fucking marker. But he come in the side. Like he acted like almost like the old folks you were talking, acting like he didn't see me in fucking line. Bitch,
I just have a question. Can I bump?
Down.
It's that. Oh, I just have a quick question. Good. You can wait in line and ask your question. No problem. But don't come ahead of me. That's the wild part where people are like, oh, I only have a couple things. Do you mind if I go ahead of you?
Yeah,
I just turn to them and I'm like, yes, I mind. And they're like, oh.
Now, if I see you and I notice that you only got a couple things, if I make the initiative, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. But that's my right as the person in line. You can't. You ask me. On my shit. Absolutely not. And that's and another thing. Crack a joke, trying to make people smile. I'm all for it, 100% of the time. Even a little casual flirting. Hey, maybe it puts a smile on somebody's face. Don't try and pick up. People are on their job. They're being nice to you because it's their job.
Right.
Leave them alone.
Yeah. After the song is done, let the stripper go to the next person.
Yeah. Let's relax.
Yeah. She liked you. She really did for that whole 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
Yeah. She gave it her all.
Yep. Yeah. Life is just a series of moments, and your moment was that 3-minute song. Should have got Stairway to Heaven.
Bro.
Just
I remember, yeah. Like, and that's the thing is, there's you can be kind, funny, a little flirtatious, sure. Never ask for a number. Never, like, that's just, you're like, hey man, why are you putting somebody in that? I remember working as at the bank, and people would flirt with the tellers, and I'm like, yeah, we hired all hot women as tellers. You know why? Because it's great.
Because you're staring at their tits, and if they fuck up, you're staring at their tits.
100%. And after everything, like, the wild thing was that people were like, oh, can I get your number? And they're like, no, have a great day. And I'm like, yeah, that's. And one guy was like, oh, I thought we had something. Well, you're wrong. That's fine. Yeah. No, there's nothing here. We're just friendly.
Now, there are exceptions to the rule. I did for quite some time when I very, very, very first started with the new bank that I'm at. This had to be at least 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
There was a cute little teller in there, and we had met like before. I've seen she worked there a couple times outside of it, but nothing special. We knew each other's names.
Yeah.
And after I got to cash a few checks here and there, and I don't know if it was the money or what, but there was a good almost year period of time where she was sending me nudes. But then I'm like, bitch, I don't know you. So and I was still.
He already knows too much about you. Let's be honest. You're like, yeah, no.
Right. You don't fuck with the people who fuck with your money. You just don't do that. And especially the type of person I am. I'm not the worst guy in the world, but I'm far from the best. And yeah, you will want to fuck with my bank account, and I'll have to choke you. So yeah, that was nice little spank material. Thank you. I might even have her fucking picture still downloaded.
Sure.
But I'm not the asshole to put it online. I may show a friend or two, but I would never fucking put it online.
Yeah, that's fine. It's very weird how people are, like, where it's in that environment. I have had clients ask me out to dinner, and
that sounded like you were a hooker.
Yeah, it did. And it felt like I was a hooker too. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, I would love to. And it was very like, I'm like, I don't know what the purpose of this is, but I'm like, you know what, I'm your financial advisor. You want to take me out for dinner? Sure. And a couple times I was like, just to be clear, am I expensing this? Or he's like, no, it's my treat. Oh, okay, sure, no problem. But it was like,
I know where the time clock stops.
yeah, and you're kind of like, is this are you trying to grease the gears here, or are you just trying to be friendly? And most often it was, I really appreciate what you did. I thought that this would be nice instead of, writing a review or whatever. And I'm like, sure, I would love to do that on a personal, absolutely. But like, I think twice it was a female client that was like, we should do dinner sometimes. And I'm like, I have a girlfriend. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I'm good. And they're like, oh, nothing like that. And I'm like, I don't think my girlfriend would see it that way.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, it's as much as I would.
She'll cut us both.
And I would be like, hey, and you know what? I'm like, listen, you're always welcome to come for a chat. I love our chats. It's great. And you know what? We can have a coffee in my office around people. I would love it. Going out for dinner, that's not appropriate.
And I'm keeping my hands right here in the air where everybody can see them as we're talking.
Well, that's I've had I remember one girl, I walked downstairs into the lunchroom, and one girl was like, she was there by herself, but she kind of had she was scratching her shoulder, but it was like her shirt was a little open, whatever. And I walked in and I was like, Jesus. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I didn't. She's like, you didn't see anything. And I'm like, I'm trying
just
to be respectful of your time.
Just a little side nipple. I saw the bump, the couple of 3 bumps on top. I saw the one hair hanging out the side of your fucking nipple. I'd have made it fucking awkward. Fuck it. Put your titty away, bitch.
I mean, I didn't, but at the same time, it was like, hey, this is a place of business. You should not be doing that. Like that's, and especially not doing it facing the doorway that everyone, like, be around a corner. Someone walks in, you get like, it's weird, right?
Well, I mean, I guess you can equate that to people digging in their ass when they're at work, or somebody. You ever see somebody just not even digging their ass on the outside? Because I think that's worse. Just the look is worse. To be digging your hand, you're jamming your pants into your ass crack just to fucking get it. Maybe an itch, maybe a skid, who knows? But to see people who stick their hand down, like under, when you see it go past the fucking elastic in your drawers, and now they're fucking wrist deep in their ass. I don't care if they're scratching cheek, if they're scratching hole. Bitch, you are at work. Take that at least in the bathroom and then wash your fucking hands.
Unless, listen, if you do that and I don't see hand sanitizer immediately coming out of your pocket as well, get the fuck out.
Hand sanitizer should have been already out on the table. Because then you're kind of putting an invisible skid mark in your pocket or everywhere else until you use that hand sanitizer. Dude, I got this thing against skid marks, and now that I'm getting older, they're just magically appearing. That's some bullshit, man. I made it a point, even when I did coke. You empty stomach.
Yeah.
Make sure there's if need be, you take your half a Vicodin to jam it up. But
that's the worst part about it is like your first bump, you'll immediately have to shit, and then you're not shitting again. Like it's just like the first you're like, gotta go.
see, for me it was like, I would say the first maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the first bump to me was like,
well, at the same time, there's a bump, and then there's a boom, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. I remember somebody's like, I'm like, oh, just a little bump, and he's like, that's not a bump, bro. That's a lot, and I'm like, I think you're just a pussy. That's
yeah.
But
I've seen people like, people have offered it to me, and they know, Mark, I know you don't party anymore, but you want a little, and they look. You want me to I ain't partied in ever.
Yeah.
That right there will make me go buy a fucking half ounce. You can't handle a half ounce. I'll be done with a half ounce by fucking midnight. Why don't you take your little fucking dust over there? I'll make sure I don't breathe too hard before it blows it off the table. And thank you. Nice thought. I appreciate the thought.
Sure.
Like I used to make, this is how bored I used to be of a cokehead. an old timer gave me this idea. He said, and I'm sure he was lying, but I made one. He said he had a table when he was young, and it was an engraved of whatever picture, I forget he said it was, but it was deep engravings so that you wipe your Coke on top of it and you
Ooh,
got all the lines, everything's nice and cut out, everything is even all through there.
that is
So
nice.
I actually made a marble little Coke tray, and
Mm,
it's engraved with the cobra going down it. Oh yeah,
yeah.
pretty badass. But I mean, that's the same thing as drinking games. Why do I need an excuse to do my dope? Just throw it
Yeah.
on the fucking table.
Yeah. Just like that. Yeah. Just it makes life easier. You're like, listen, I don't need anything fancy. Just give me a space with no wind. I'm good. It's
And then
right.
you're the second person who mentioned mushrooms to me today.
Hmm.
But like the first person said, an eighth. You say a quarter. What kind of shit mushrooms are you guys eating? Dude, you hit the Sasquatch's mushrooms. You're eating 2 shrooms. That's it. There is no 8. There's no 3, 5. There's no 7 on there. You're eating this shroom, and
Yeah.
if you can still see, you might eat the top of the next shroom, and you were gone. Like,
Yeah. So mine was 4 that were about one was 2 were like 2.5 inches, and then 2 were like 3.5 inches. So it comes in like its own 7-gram baggie, and I'm like, perfect. I just raw dog them. I'm just like, no problem, that's fine. And but like, yeah, I'm taking that much because I want to see God. Yeah, like I'm not like when even when I tell people, I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, how much do you normally take? I'm like 7 grams. They're like, Jesus Christ, are you crazy? And I'm like, I'm very large. So
on the regular shrooms, we used to eat a quarter to a half, just fuck. I ate a half ounce of powdered shrooms and ended up in the fucking graveyard looking for my grandma's grave, and her stone wasn't even there yet. Yeah, that was a fun night. Fun night. I don't even know how I got to the cemetery because I lived on the total opposite side of town, and I had no car at the time.
See, but I'm very much like, if I'm doing shrooms, it's because I have nothing during the day. I have a solid like 6 to 8 hours of nothing, so I can enjoy myself in solitude, and come back down before I have to interact with anyone, which is very much beneficial, right? But
that's the way I was with acid, because I always liked acid a lot better than shrooms. But just right now, I know the mind state and the preparedness that I had to go through back then before I took some acid. There had to be at least 2 days of nothing to do before and after.
Yeah.
Just because you're the next day, once the shit finally wears off, which will be the next day, you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna feel like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And so you gotta have a day before to make sure that you're not gonna have anything to do while you're fucking doing this.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like, I tried LSD the first time last year.
What?
And yeah, well, I was doing shrooms, and then someone was like, "Do you want to try LSD?" And I'm like, "Eh." So I ordered it with shrooms, and the ones that I got, the little tabs, were great, but at the same time, like, they're not.
Yeah, see,
I find they're very different.
I don't know about legal LSD, man. The LSD, a good LSD comes from somebody sketchy. It might be it's wrapped in some gum foil, or a dollar bill that used to have Coke in it. It's stuffed in somebody's wallet, or somebody opens up a CD case, which nobody has CDs anymore. Something like that, and you taste like you just licked a fucking 12-volt battery.
Yes,
that's how you know you got some good fucking trip.
See, I've had like the mushrooms I buy. So there was a store that had franchises all over the city, and they recently closed down, which I was pretty sad about that. But the LSD I actually got off a website because they had a deal going, and I was like, sure. So it's not really like legal up here, but at the same time, it's not hard to get your hands on.
Not legal here. It's actually 7 years a hit if you get caught with it.
7 years?
Yeah.
God. I feel like what they should do is just let you have LSD for 7 years, and then that's your punishment. I think that'd be funny.
Just a dose a day every day.
Hit that MK Ultra style. Just like, bro, you're gonna see Jesus and you're gonna become best friends. That's just what's gonna happen,
Dude,
but yeah,
coming out of 7 years of tripping and then thinking that reality was just all you're tripping. You just gave me the acid. Where's the purple elephants flying? Where's what the fuck is that barking at me?
Like, that's the whole idea, right? Is Greg, you came back at a very interesting time.
I sure did.
Like, that's the thing is, like, I find that when I take the mushrooms, it's specifically therapeutic for me, right? Where I'm like, LSD I thought was just like it was just me getting high, whereas mushrooms is more like,
you try to get spiritual with it, nigga. You
not even that.
You just getting high. It's just
no. It's LSD for sure.
You try to wrap it in, it's still a dick in a box.
No, I don't find mushrooms that way though. Like, I find mushrooms more so that I become more introspective with it. Whereas LSD, I'm just high and loving it. Like, it's just, I'm like, right? Whereas mushrooms, I kind of decompress and process, and like, it takes me like a week to unpack.
Yeah, see, right? I'm still trying to figure out what kind of pussy fucking mushrooms. Greg didn't see us eat mushrooms. Some Sasquatch mushrooms, the Smurf houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not like the mushrooms growing up look like dingy gray and blue. Sometimes had the orange or yellow little cap that tastes and smell like shit. No, the Sasquatch mushrooms, they look like iridescent fucking them wafer cookies.
Ooh.
Like, it's that, and like, imagine the wafer cookie iridescent and it crunched just like that. There was no poo taste to them. It was like you were eating a wafer cookie, dude. And one, like I said, I ate one in a cap. Fucking Scotty, I think, just ate a cap. He changed his whole life around. Like, Scotty ain't doing shows no more. Scotty ain't doing shows no more. Scotty done fucking started going to the gym. He got a decent car. He started being the family man. He was cooking. He introduced me to real tikka masala. I mean, fuck.
See, but this is the thing. So this is why, like, okay, Greg. So what I did this morning, I took 7 grams of blue meanie mushrooms.
Okay.
And essentially, my wife got to work and she's like, "Hey, I'm at work," because she took the car, and I'm like, "Great, I'm taking mushrooms. I'll message you when I'm alive." And she's like, "Don't die," and I'm like, 50-50. So, yeah, I mean, like, I'll have fun. It's fine,
Right, either way.
It's like fighting a gorilla. I'm like, it's gonna be awesome. I'm probably gonna die, but man, it's gonna be cool. Make sure you videotape it, right? So
100%.
yeah. So like, this is the thing is like, because for me, the reason why I wanted to do mushrooms was because I'm like, oh, my last mountain is me. I'm the problem. So I got to figure out that I got to get my head right. Right. And I find mushrooms do that. Right. That's why, like, for Scotty to have that, they worked like that. That's the thing. Right. Like that's why I'm like, whereas LSD, just getting high. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. But mushrooms, I feel, has something to it,
So that being said, I want to elaborate on the whole mushroom thing, because we've done shows together and we've talked about this, how mushrooms are sentient. Definitely. Whether they are in the ground or in the bag and been sitting forever. Every part of that mushroom is still alive. They are making computers now that are total mushrooms. You crack it open. I've seen the pictures of it. It literally looks like a Smurf city inside the fucking bottom, like attached to a motherboard. It's fucking crazy. They're running, there's mushroom computers. Now they're talking about there's mushrooms that go from tree through a root system damn near. It's almost like fiber optics to other mushrooms, and they're fucking communicating. So now there's also another species of mushroom that is a zombie type mushroom
Mhm.
that it goes into, it finds a host,
Yeah.
and it goes inside the host and slowly but surely starts taking over the host.
Yeah.
Zombie. And then it feeds off of it until there's nothing left. And then it does it all over again. It reproduces. So now,
Yeah.
do you think that you're really having this spiritual or this mental fucking awakening? Or are you like Fry in fucking Futurama when the worms were fucking taking over? Is this the fungus taking over?
Well, so interesting you would ask. The wild part is that like so I tried to educate myself on mushrooms to understand it better, right? And even I didn't do it until I found someone that had done them, and I was like, "Hey, can you walk me through this?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's do it together, no problem." And fantastic experience and everything. But at the same time, like the first time I did it, I kept on forgetting to breathe, which I still have a bit of an issue with. So I'll be like, and he's like, "Yeah, just keep breathing, and like it gets a little freaky because you're like,
the fungus taking you over. Like, all right, man, it's time for me to take over.
well, so to a degree, this is what they were saying was that the fungus will that one that takes over. It actually there's one that specifically attacks ants. There's one that does spiders, but one that takes ants, and it forces the ants to climb, like it's just climb as fast as you can, like as high as you can, because what it does is it gets to the high as it can, and it spores. And that's the whole idea. Like the fungus knows I can't spread down here. I need you to carry me up there so I can spore. And you're like, that's diabolical, right? So and that's why, like, when I think that the mushrooms take the reins for a short period of time. Yes, 100% I do. There's no question in my mind. It's a question of, like, I explain this to Atlas the same way, where I'm like, doing mushrooms is kind of like combing the snow on a ski hill. Kind of removes all the weird divots and stupid shit and kind of makes you start off fresh, right? So is it in charge for that period of time? Yes. It's kind of like your brain goes into down for construction, and fungus is like, I got this. Let me just get in here and just massage your muscles. Just massage your muscles, right? Yeah. So yeah, I do. I definitely do. But the difference is I don't, like, it's the same thing with DMT, where I have not done DMT. I do want to try it, but like, is that DMT only lasts like 15 minutes?
Oh, don't let it bullshit you.
No, but it will
No,
change your entire perspective, right?
I've done DMT, and I don't get the high that everybody else does. Apparently there's studies on DMT too. 11% of people don't get to go through the fucking door, and guess who's part of that 11%? But like the first time I tried it, the Sasquatch brought me. Knew I wanted to try DMT. Me and him talked about it, and my son wanted to try it for his 21st birthday. So I'm like, fuck it. It's safer to sit at home. We sat in the studio. My buddy came across it. We got a whole bunch of DMT, and I'm watching Sasquatch damn near get naked, just rubbing on himself and sweating, and he's talking to Mother Ayahuasca. And my son is fucking like, now mind you, they're sitting in front of me. I am in the chair that I am in right now. They're like right there. And my son's sitting in the chair, but he swears up and down he's walking through fucking Asgard or wherever the fucking Thor and shit was. Swore he had fucking crows on his shoulder and he's talking to different shit. Me, I got really high.
Yeah.
I kind of got the quick visual. Like there's a visual. He's called the Trickster. It's like kind of like a weird, almost like a bong looking graphic type deal. But I get to like this kind of gate, and this thing looks at me, and then boom, I'm sober again. It's like I'm really high. Dude, I fucking smoked so much DMT. Like for them, little hit, it's like a dab.
Yeah.
For me, dude, I was crushing it on blunts. I was like, can I snort this? I mean, can I do I bang this in the dab?
It's all Joby.
Dude, I was so pissed off and so obsessed with getting to where everybody else was going. Dude, I bought so much of that shit. I still got vape things, containers that you can still taste the DMT on it. And eventually it just was like, it was good to fucking fall asleep to, which shouldn't be a thing either. You should not be able to fall asleep on it. But the DMT effect, if it's real good DMT, the shortest amount of time is 15 minutes. That shit could roll for a couple hours.
I've never heard of anyone lasting more than 15 minutes. So like that's fucking terrifying, because my understanding is that that 15 minutes is more than enough. That is more than enough for what you need.
Literally, I mean, he described his armor he had on. He described the feathers on the fucking crow. You know, Ricky swore up and down he was Sasquatch. Swore up and down that he was titties out over here on my chair, just swear he was getting freaked on by Mother Ayahuasca, and her arms were loving all over him, and he was just feeling the warmth of the universe. And again, I'm like, I can't snort this. You don't snort this.
I feel like the stream faster.
I feel like Ricky was also like, this is a perfect excuse for me to show off my peen. It's like, well, the DMT made me do it. You're like, this is Wendy's, sir. I don't think that's fair. No?
And you're ordering McNuggets. We don't have McNuggets, man.
Yeah. I remember we were driving down to Florida and we were all asleep in the car. We pulled into a Wendy's and my brother walked up to the counter and my dad's like, what do you want? He's like, a Whopper. And they're like, this is Wendy's. I'm like, this is funny as shit. And he's like, something Whopper like? I don't know. He was still asleep. And I'm like, I just looked at him like, you're an idiot.
Some Whopper-ish. What's your biggest fucking burger, fuckface? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, okay, getting back to the whole mushrooms thing and the computers thing.
Yes.
So, now what happens, or what do you think would happen if they were able to get one of these computers up and running with AI? So now, is this one of the sentience of the earth finally being able to speak up, and the God that pretty much we established that we've just discovered using AI? Or would you think that they were all one and the same, and that maybe the mushrooms were the fucking head of the alpha species on Earth all the time?
It's very possible. Like, so a lot of people have like, this is the only problem. It like we were talking about how like music is wonderful, but I don't like concert people because they're like, I have to sing along. So it's like people who are like, mushrooms are my life. You're like, you smell. You're weird. I don't want to do this, right? Like it's weird, right? So it's the same thing where, like, you kind of fall into that rabbit hole where it becomes their whole identity, and then they're like, it's definitely God, and you're like, okay. Are you sure that we're like, by combining those two things, are you sure we're not just creating a translator? You know what I mean? Because like fungus is sentient. There's no question about that, right? You heard the whole thing about Japan's transit system, like their subway system. What they did was they took food and placed it where they wanted all of the stations, and then let the fungus go. And the fungus created the most efficient pathway for everything. And the funny thing is that it was like almost exactly as the Japanese had made a schematic for what would be the most efficient. So they're like, they tweaked it, and then they're like, ta-da! Like, so it's like the mushrooms are there's an intelligence there for sure.
Right.
But then it's like being able to cross that communication barrier is the other thing. And like, look, we've all been talking about the whole idea where it's like, oh, there are aliens underwater. And you're like, what? And you're going, yeah. And it seems like they've been here a lot longer than we realized. And you're like, oh, that makes it worse.
Have you heard speaking of the underwater thing?
Yeah.
Have you heard the new viral conspiracy about the elites eating mermaids?
Yes. So I've seen, so some guy popped on my feed and it was a guy with tattoos, but he was wearing like a dress shirt and a tie, but he had this giant triangle with an eye on it as a mask.
Oh, jeez.
And he was, yeah. And I was like, it's a great gimmick. You're nuts. I love it. But he was just like, yeah, the elites eat mermaids. And apparently, you remember the movie Splash with Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a secret ending where they ate the mermaid at the end at a fancy banquet. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Right. So I don't know. Have you seen anything about that? Like I've seen people talking about it, but nothing.
Grape mentioned something to me about it, and I'm like,
he'd eat a mermaid, that fat fuck.
You know, I'd go down on a mermaid. I mean, just to say I did, but you know, I wouldn't.
I bet you would.
Fucking mermaid. I don't like fish. I just, but apparently there was this guy. He got out of jail or something or other, and nobody would hire a felon. So he went down to the docks and he got a job on a fishing boat. And they went out fishing one night in the middle of the night. They saw some shit or whatever. And he said, you know, the crew people told him, and it was like just so matter of fact that, you know, they go out catching, like they net fucking mermaids. And so he obviously didn't believe them until they caught, you know, their first school of mermaids. I don't know what you call them. But yeah, and he said that, you know, they sell them to the really rich people. You know, they didn't say whether they were Americans or who. They just said the really rich people, and that the one day, because he did it for quite some time, it just became a thing. They weren't people, so you know they were just fish to him. But he got invited to one of these parties, and he didn't know. You know, you figure you're selling them, they're gonna eat them, but you don't know for sure that they're eating mermaid.
True.
And he went to one of these fucking, you know, him and the rest of the crew got invited to one of these dinners, and boom, mermaid tartare or whatever the fuck you call it. I mean, this thing was up on a plate. He said he ate it. He said, you know, he says he knew what it tasted like. So, I mean, if you only eat the bottom half, are you still cool, or are you fucked up if you eat any of it?
This was my next question: is do you think it's a surf and turf where like the top is
tastes like steak and the bottom tastes like fucking lobster?
Well, I was gonna say the top would be long pork, right? That's, you know, the fancy way of saying it, long pork, and the bottom would be you know, I'm assuming tuna or salmon. But
I thought it was the soft breads or sweet breads.
No, those are just testicles. Long pork is what cannibals call people, or long pig. That's
long pig.
Yeah. So if somebody ever serves long pig, no thanks.
Are you sure it isn't lawn, like WA or LAWN?
No. Long LONG.
Oh.
Here, I'm gonna Google it right now. Long pig. Yeah, it's a translation of a term formerly used in some Pacific islands for human flesh as a food.
So no long pig kebab.
Now, at the same time, though, let's see. This is my problem with someone like that. Is number one, they're a felon. Sure, let's start there. I don't believe half the shit that felons say, just for the simple fact that they're felons. They got caught. They're not even good criminals, bro. You're a felon, you got caught. So next, you're like, okay, so if you got a very exclusive item and you would only sell to the rich, Okay. I don't feel like the rich would be like, hey, I gave you all this money. Do you want to eat it with me? That's not how rich people work. Rich people are like, also, I want you to wear a mask so you don't look directly at me because you're poor and I don't want to catch your peasantness. Right. So, like,
Well, see,
weird.
I've noticed that American rich, or no, I can't even say American rich. American elite are a lot different than elite around the world. A lot of the, I've seen Spanish and like over in Poland and Hungary, shit like that. The elites around there, the few that there are, they are the type that will sit you down and let you eat your fucking family in front of you and love every bite of it and then tell you, hey, you just ate old Nana.
Yeah. So there's see, and that's the difference, right? Is there's old money that they don't associate with peasants. That's not how that works, right? They're like, hey, we can.
I'm watching you get slaughtered in front of me for my pleasure.
Exactly. You're part of the hunt. You're not,
Right.
So whereas and that's the thing is, especially in the Americas, that's quote unquote more new money than old money, right? So and the old money that exists in America has been transferred from overseas. Like it was old money, came here and just grew. So like the new rich people that are in America, they're malicious in their wealth, right? They like the idea of remember Hard Target?
Yeah.
Right. I hunt homeless people. You're like, yeah, that's what new rich people do, because they're like, well, they're not real people. Like, no, they are. That's not right. It's different, but yeah.
I
don't know.
It's knocking it. We're just saying it is what it is.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is like the whole idea of like there being stuff in the ocean that we don't know about. Yeah, 100%. Oh, did he get blanked out? Oh, there you go.
No.
But like there's stuff like,
up though.
Yeah. I'm sure the elites have found us and they're like, "What? You talking about mermaid eating? Get the fuck out of here!" Boom.
It's weird that I got cut down on that though.
Right? It is. And like the worst part is it could be random, but at the same time, now it's suspicious, right? Like it's 100%. You're like, oh,
good for fucking. We've done what over a month's worth, if not longer, of shows without being bothered, and then all of a sudden we start talking about this.
Sketchy.
Yeah, that's what made it sketchy. To me, this was a bunch of bullshit because let's be real. Let's be fucking real. Okay, if mermaids were real, if they did exist, they ain't looking like Ariel. They ain't looking like Daryl Hannah from fucking Splash. They're not looking. They're gonna look fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
they're gonna be fucking. First of all, they're living deep underwater. So they're either going to be translucent or blackety black. Their eyes will fucking glow because of they're under the water. Their teeth will be fucking huge, like one of them fucking angler fishes or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
With the little thing in the front.
Yeah.
That ain't going to be a fucking little orphan. That's going to be a merman's penis that, he just dangles out there.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like you're in the food chain and the ocean has massive predators. So weird, right? Like it's not going to be,
And then if there's one, there ain't going to be one species. There ain't one species of human.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we got the race bullshit going on now. So you're going to have your mer people that are half fucking shark. You're going to have your mer people that are half octopus. You're going to have, fucking all kind. If there's one, what's the odds of it being,
all of them are going to hate fish.
I find it hilarious that like, we discovered mermaids and the mermaids like interact with people and they're like, oh, you have black people too, right? Yeah. 52% of the crime. And you're like, what the fuck? Like apparently mermaids are super racist. There's like it's like 62% of crime. Like, come on. It's like, what the fuck, right? I think that would be hilarious to figure out.
Right. That would be fucking hilarious.
But
Not just on land, but in the water too. You're like, oh God.
Right. It's everywhere.
If the mer people did exist, I mean, do you think it would be just one species? It would just be one race of mer people?
Well, if you honestly think about it, you got a whole bunch of different species of fish too.
Yep.
Right.
So,
that's what I'm saying. I
It
mean,
might not even be the human part. It might be all the fish part.
And also too, like remember, like dolphins have a very comparable brain to a human brain, right?
Mhm.
and they rape people.
Actually, they use puffer fish as a fleshlight, which is kind of fucking wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because they bounce it around so it puffs up, and apparently it gives off a little toxin, and then they skull fuck it. Yeah, they skull fuck the puffer fish, and you're just like, that's get me high and then suck it. You're like, that's predatory, as far as I know.
Right. That's
alpha
pretty
male
rough.
right there.
I mean, it's something. But like that's like the whole idea is that, and remember too, people, human beings have this idea that we're the top of the food chain, which is completely false, right? We've removed ourselves from the food chain because we're pathetic, but like we're not in any way, shape, or form the top, because like the only thing that we have is we are endurance runners, so we could chase prey until it's tired. But also, the most of the world is now fat and can't move. So, shit, right?
Weren't we talking about the cheetah?
Right.
Cheetah's fast as fuck for the first 15 minutes, and then it's like,
Just
fuck
piss
him,
off.
baby. I need
So,
a
like,
cigarette.
Yeah, and that's and like that
And
whole
somebody
idea.
call for a golf cart.
I need triage. No, that's it's like the idea. Yeah, some oxygen in the plains of Africa for a cheetah. That would be the funniest shit ever. But like the idea that we have with mermaids is we assume, oh, they're half human, half fish, which is stupid, right? Like, let's be honest, that's a stupid idea. They're obviously just a intelligent evolution of a sea creature, right? Maybe it looks quasi human facial structure or something like that, but you're like, we have no idea. So like the idea that other species, like what was in Suicide Squad, King Shark, right? You're like, that idea, you're like, remember fucking sharks were here before trees, right? Like, so the idea makes sense, but then like who knows, right?
You know what don't make sense with me about that? I mean, aside from we're talking about a fucking fake shark that's walking around and fucking talking, it's breathing air. It doesn't have to go in the water. Not even amphibious. You know, he's in the air. I mean, if you done evolve to the point where you could breathe air, you can no longer breathe water, and that fucker was underwater too.
Yeah.
So that took me out of it. Not gonna lie.
Oh, for sure. Well, the thing is, like, I find it frustrating that people don't actually, for lack of a better term, dissect the science. Where you're like, no, the idea that it would be like, because the whole idea of a centaur, you're like, it really gives off people were stupid and it was just cavalry. That's, you know, it's people who rode horses. That's, you're like, you can connect those dots.
And this, you gotta admit this, we're always praising your fucking Greeks, but they did have a lot of tendency of fucking animal fucking. There was a lot of animal fucking in the Greek myths. So I mean, the centaur could have been a guy on a horse, or it could have been a guy on a horse, and that was their kid. You know,
I will give you that, sir. But like, yeah, it's that's why I'm like, I don't know. It's the idea that we like, look, we're the only ones on the planet who have the audacity to just go around naming shit because you're like, well, I found it, so I'm gonna name it. You're like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You're an idiot, right? But
see,
like,
that
we're
goes back to the original way of communicating. We was like, we need to fucking figure out what this is called So we know to tell somebody, don't step on this or don't fall off this or eat this. So we're going to name this that. But there's like we were talking about this on one of the other shows also. It's the whole communication gap.
Yes.
You know, can you imagine? Like there was an episode of Futurama where they went to this planet and they found these things. They looked like chicken nuggets in the fucking hole, and they were eating them like crazy. And then they realized what those things are fucking talking. They were actually baby fucking aliens. And, but they were still eating. Was it popples or some shit like that?
Poplars, yeah.
So I mean, can you imagine fucking being able to communicate with everything on Earth, like anything? I mean, like they just and you only see it on Russian fucking websites or YouTube videos. There's this one kid that I watch. He usually does stuff about the space and shit, you know, and how different things are aligning and all that stuff, but in a detailed, factual sense. You know, there's no speculation or nothing. They're just like, hey, this is here, this is the way it's shown, and they're trying to blank it out. But he had a video on the scientists. I think they're in Germany, maybe, but they took the gene from a human that makes them speak, that makes them communicate in English, like in spoken word, and they transplanted it. They mixed it with the DNA of a mouse, and now they don't know what to do because these mice are apparently talking.
Yes, I saw that movie. It's called Stuart Little. That's
Well, I mean, so now, what if you could communicate with the mice? What if the mice, you know, you could talk to a mouse, and you know that mouse looks up at you and gives you that old fucking. My ancestors were oppressed, and all our land was taken away, and we were boxed up, and we were fucking smashed, and we were drowned, and we were here when the dinosaurs were here, bitch. What the fuck are you saying? You're the fifth set of fucking humans. That's what you're calling yourselves now?
I feel like that. Well, that would be the most interesting thing, because then you have history of mankind from a perspective of an outsider, which is essentially all that's going to do is create massive chaos, which I would love. Let's be honest.
I would love to be able to talk to one of those turtles we were talking about.
Yeah.
The ones that are a few hundred years old.
Yep.
Just to sit back and talk to come on, man. You know, what do you like to eat? I'll go get you a few burgers, whatever the fuck, a puffin. And
wouldn't it be fun though, just to do lines with a fucking ancient tortoise that's like 300 years old? You're gonna have some wild ass stories, or just get off the rails high, like just smoke a fat blunt.
I'm trying to remember what fucking show it was on, but there was a turtle that was like, I don't know who you're calling, young. I was doing blow off a Sacagawea's ass.
I mean, yeah, there you go. Like it's like that. It's so horrible, but it's like that idea where we actively can't communicate. And remember, like, do you remember it was Coco the gorilla that learned sign language? Yeah, and
we still do that. Ugly monkey.
It was, well, the funny thing was that they had to tell that monkey, that gorilla, that Robin Williams died, and he was like, "Oh, sad, I lost my friend." And you're like, you understand how massive that level of communication is, right?
Because they're not just tell the story about him when he met Coco.
Yeah, it was wild.
When Coco wanted to fuck him.
I don't remember that part, but I'm not surprised.
He tells the story about it. He says he went and he met Coco, and I believe Coco was the idea that they used for that. What was it? That movie Congo, where they had I think the fucking the monkey in there was called Coco too, but they taught a gorilla how to do sign language and shit, and it was guiding them through the jungle. But anyways, Robin Williams tells the story that he goes and he meets this gorilla,
Yeah.
and the gorilla knows sign language. And she said the monkey looked at him when did the sign for who's the simian.
Yeah.
And
He's fucking hairy like a gorilla.
The person talked back, explained to him, this is a friend, a guest, and it got close to him and grabbed, like put his hand in his shirt and grabbed his nipples. And he said, all is going through his head is like, feels like a woman, not a woman, feels like a woman, not a woman. Do not go to phase 2. Do not go to phase 2.
Which would be hilarious. Let's be honest. That would be.
And he said that the gorilla wanted, signed that it wanted to take him in the back room. And he's like, well, if a 1,000-pound gorilla grabs you by the nipples and says, come on, what do you do?
Say goodbye to your nipples. They're taking them. That's.
That or you're creating a new fucking strain of AIDS.
Something's happening.
Someone's
getting off and someone's gonna die. We'll see what happens.
That's something nobody ever talks about anymore. I mean, we all hear. I mean, AIDS is just kind of like a daily thing anymore. It's just like like the common cold anymore around. Even though it is not, it's very serious. They have gotten drugs now to suppress it, so it's almost gone. You don't show up on any test, but it's still there lingering. We know how to bring it back if you don't pay your fucking insurance bill. That's what it sounds like to me. But anyways, nobody talks about the origin. Everybody wants to know about the origins of COVID. It came from a lab down in South Carolina. We did a show on it. We all know about it. Somehow it ended up in Wuhan, but that's where it came from. Nah. All right. So, but we still don't know who fucked what monkey, because nobody ever debunked the whole fucking of the monkey to create AIDS or to transfer AIDS. And then what monkey fucker came back and fucked who that started this whole shit? I'd like to know patient 0 through 3. I want patient 0 through 3. Because that's what it took to get to America. 0 through 3.
Oh. This is what we need released. Let Donald Trump know. Be like, hey, this is the information we want. Who was it that banged the monkey? Like, that's, I mean.
Yeah, and what kind of monkey was it? We got the Ebola monkeys. Everybody's seen the fucking show with the little Ebola monkeys that come over in the fucking pet thing. They were smuggling pets. They scratched some fucking idiot. Yeah, didn't I think Shamalami or Salami or whatever the fuck Shyamalan did a show like that about the fucking animals. Who gives a fuck about? I want to know, what was it, an orangutan? Was it a silverback? Was it a chimp? Did somebody just stick an Ebola monkey on their cock? I mean, was it alive?
I don't think you could fuck a gorilla.
I know I can't, but I'm sure
but I'm like,
can and has.
Like a gorilla could fuck you, but you you're not gonna. Oh, I'm just gonna take that gorilla to town. You're like, that's not gonna happen. A gorilla is gonna beat you to death as soon as you touch his butt.
Yeah, I mean, because even a chimp, the chimps are smaller. They're like, to look at a chimp, they look like maybe a fucking 10 to 13-year-old kid, but they'll rip your fucking face right off.
Correct. That's why, like, there's that side of things where you're going, all right, it's really weird, but maybe, I don't know. Like, that's the whole, like, the problem is that when it happened, we were still on lockdown information wise. So who knows? And you're like, it's rumors, innuendos, conjecture. We don't know. Other than we're like
everything there of all the rumors, of all the conspiracies, the monkey thing still rolls. The monkey thing still right. And then the one thing I don't like about it, and again, this goes back to what you just said about, the information blockade back, before the internet.
Yeah.
Why has it always got to be a guy? Yeah, I hit the gay community, but it seems more likely to me that a woman would get fucked by a monkey, because there are some freaks that'll do that shit, than a guy wrestling a monkey down and forcing it to fuck.
What if it was that chick who was with the gorillas in the mist? The
Fosse, Diane Fosse?
Yeah.
The Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. What if she's like, I fell in love with it, I let him just run a train on me, and now we have AIDS? Like that. I mean, that is very possible because
it's plausible. It's
well, bitches are weird. That's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
The chick with the chimp that ripped off her friend's fucking tits and face and all that shit. It was found that she had a kind of inappropriate relationship with that chimpanzee.
Yeah, well, remember that one dolphin trainer lady who would fucking give handies to the dolphin, and you're like, that's fucking weird. And she's like, well, I was helping it. I'm like, no, you're a fucking weirdo. That's not. You're not helping shit. If anything, release it into the wild. Let it go fuck something. Why are you giving it a hand job? That is.
Yeah, or weird. Just go in the fucking water with it. It will rape you. Dolphins are known for rape. Dolphins are very, very Cosby-ish.
Same with otters. Otters will do that as well.
The bad thing with the dolphins is, like, we did a show at Greg's house. I think it was Cheeto Jenga night.
No, I don't think that was the same night. That was a different night. Yeah. That one was done upstairs.
That's Cheetos the issue. It wasn't the night we did Cheetos and Jenga. It was a different night.
No, it's not Cheetos and Jenga. It was Cheeto Jenga.
You guys say that as if that means something. It does not.
It is.
Those are two words that we
Cheetos.
Yeah. See, like, there was a drunk woman. There was a drunk woman with her head slouched to the side at the table.
No,
and
she was asleep.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of hammered friends that decided, hey, I bet you we could balance Cheetos on her head.
And we stacked them pretty high. They were probably a good 16 inches or so.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That technically, that's Cheetah Django. I will give you that, but it's like you can't just assume.
See, it makes sense now, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't just make that assumption that that's a thing that people know about, right?
Well, that made you ask, did it not?
What did you think about when I said Cheeto Jenga?
We had to explain it, right?
I'll be honest with you. There were a lot of things. The third or fourth was using the Cheetos to make the Jenga, because I'm like, that is an inferior building technique. It's not like they're not smooth. You can't pull them out. They're not always the same. It's an issue, right? So I feel like it's more so that everyone had to eat Cheetos, so all of the Jenga pieces had Cheeto dust on them. No. That was the first, but then I realized who I'm talking to, and I'm like, no, there was definitely Cheetos involved in the building blocks.
Right.
And I was like, also, you could have like a secret Cheeto in between the normal blocks to be like, you got to eat the spicy Cheeto as the punishment. But,
now Dino's adding rules.
I mean,
well, he's trying to figure it out, but he knows now. He understands.
I have to connect the dots. But also, somebody had a little too much roofie colada, and then you could build a Jenga tower out of Cheetos. That's fair. Yeah, I get that. I mean, you could either build a Jenga tower out of Cheetos or throw their underwear in the freezer. One of the two. I feel like that's a good night. It's entertaining for everyone but that person.
Back when we were younger, man, this one chick passed out at a party we were all at, and we were all harmless, but we were all assholes. So she passed.
Some things always stay the same. Yeah, no.
She passes out on the sofa. So my buddy Billy, he goes into the kitchen and he cracks an egg. And he takes the fucking egg and just drizzles just the white, like on her mouth and coming down her fucking lips. Took the egg back into the kitchen. We let it kind of swoop down a little bit. She smeared a little bit with her hand. And then we all like unzipped our zippers. Didn't take our cocks out, but we just unzipped our zippers. And as one of us smacked her in the head to wake her up, hey, wake up. She's cracking her eyes open while we're all pulling our zippers up. She's wiping her face. Like, dude, fucking great. She wasn't mad. That was weird. She wasn't mad.
That is weirder that she was like, you guys got me. I'm a cum dumpster. You're like, that's
that's pretty much the impression that we got after that night.
I mean, I get it. At the same time,
actions speak louder than words.
A little bit, right? It's a little bit, yeah. I find it hilarious that everyone was like, "Ha, it was a prank," and then one guy was like, "Hey, man, we could have all jizzed on her, and she would have been cool with it. Like, what
Right.
the fuck? Why didn't you guys let me know?" And you're like, "Ha,
Next time.
yeah." I don't think you get a second chance at that opportunity. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But
Yeah, the way our nights have been, there's probably
Yeah, be like that sometimes.
Right.
drugs will do that. That's fine. Yeah, that's
So
Alcohol too.
alcohol.
being that you're in Canada, Dino,
I am.
what are you gonna do? Like, because I'm sure with the way technology is advancing, what are you gonna do when you get a knock at your back door and there's like 30 fucking raccoons the size of toddlers? Hey, it's fucking cold out here. If you're gonna throw something away, can you at least leave the lid fucking open? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I purposely put like interlocking bricks, bigger ones, on top of my garbage just to fuck with the raccoons. Because I'm like, you're not
How'd I
getting.
know?
You don't get my new food. You don't get my leftovers. You don't get my shit food.
They're gonna be knocking at your door like fucking Haitians, dude.
Bro, I will hunt them down. Like there's been times. So this is the problem with that is that number one, I have a retarded neighbor who was feeding the squirrels, and I'm like, you're an idiot and a problem. So, and then a couple times the squirrels came up to me and like didn't run away, and they were like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "I'll stomp on you. I don't give a fuck." Right. And then they kind of got the picture and they ran away. I think that couple moved out. It's from my neighbors, so great. But then the other one was like raccoons will, like, I'll go out for a smoke and the lights go on because they're motion detected or motion sensors, and the raccoon will be there and it'll be like, is it cool if and I'm like, I'll fucking beat your ass. Like I'll hose them down. I'll do whatever the fuck. And I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like I won't hit the babies. I'll just give them a little and try and shoo them away. But the fat ones that look like a barrel with feet, I'll kick them right in the head. I don't give a shit.
Dude. But I mean, now just think about it. If they start communicating like with people, it's gonna be a different story. You're gonna go try to kick that little motherfucker. He's gonna be like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? Do we really got to do this? I'm just trying to walk to the back, asshole. You're smoking. I'm trying to smoke. Why the fuck are you kicking me?
That's when I pull out a golf club and go pow, and just watch him go flying. I don't give a shit. Like this is
back to the woods.
Knock at the back door. It's gonna be like a dude as tall as him, but it's really gonna be like 7 raccoons on each other's shoulders, just in a fucking trench coat, just fucking brawling with him Voltron style.
100%, bro. I will definitely do that. I will have the dance off with a raccoon Voltron on my front lawn without. I'll be like, oh, you're gonna lose. That's no problem. Dude, I'm very bendy for a fat guy.
That's a skit right there.
100%.
We got to figure out how to get fucking raccoons to all hold each other's arms while we do the Voltron thing, dude. Just have them MMA style with Dino in the backyard.
I mean, if you just like splash a bunch of peanut butter on them, they'll handle it themselves. They'll just.
Why you gotta make it all sexual and weird?
Why do you have to make the assumption that peanut butter is suddenly sexual? I was just gonna say that they'll be attached to each other.
I mean,
to Marco, it is.
We've been talking about animals all night. You pull out the peanut butter.
Yeah, for the animals too. I didn't say that I was going to put the peanut butter on me. I was going to squirt all of them with the peanut butter. Is that the way they're?
That's even freakier. See, that's the new.
Unless
type
you videotape it, then it's freaky. I feel like it was just nature. It's fine.
You're gonna get Canadians.
Oh, Jesus. I feel like if the raccoons start communicating, I should be able to have a gun. I feel like that's a.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna start. Remember that fucking movie, that cartoon way back in the day? It was The Secrets of the Nim, Mrs. Frisbee and the Secrets of Nim.
That movie was traumatizing, bro.
Yeah,
that was a traumatizing movie.
I can't remember the exact name of that motherfucker, but I remember each and every one of the Nicodemus, the rat with the glowing eyes, and it was prophesized about the fucking John, the dad that got killed, and they were all experimented on, and then they became sentient and started talking. That's exactly what the fuck is going on in fucking Europe.
Yeah, it was just The Secret of Nim, Nimh. That was this, but yeah, that like, see, this is the thing is also I remember Rick and Morty did this where they're like, the squirrels are like the actual CIA are squirrels, and you're like, but if so, Morty put on a hat that made him able to hear the squirrels, and when they realized that he could hear them, like all bets were off, and to the point where the Rick, the dad, the grandpa was like, you let the squirrels know that you could understand. We gotta fucking go, bro. And you're just like, he's like, what? He's like, bro, you don't fuck with the squirrels. And I'm just like, I mean, there's a lot of them. I kind of get it, but at the same time, fuck them. That's weird.
There's a comedian, I forget his name, but he talks about the animal wars, and how they're all fucking teaming up and going against people and shit. And like he used to have a weekly update, like something different than an animal did. And then there was like one where a dog helped a squirrel out of a tree. It was like, see, they're teaming up now on us.
Well, that was the other thing, was that if monkeys domestic, so this was in Planet of the Apes, where it's like if monkeys domesticated horses, mankind would immediately fall. Like there's no, because now you have technically an army, right? Like that's cavalry was the dominant factor until air superiority became a thing, right?
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, if you look into history in the past, and every fucking war, nobody had the sense enough to fucking start fighting when you were like close to each other. If you're a fucking mile away and you guys start full sprinting towards each other, when you get to the fucking middle, you're like, we got a cigarette. So some oxygen, some water.
That's why the Germans
call the chariots. Call the chariots.
That's why the Germans invented Panzer chocolate, to give you that little extra oomph on the front lines. That's
when only the smartest they get closer. Don't start running until you're you could a basketball field. Doing one lap on a basketball court is enough to win you. That's far enough. These motherfuckers were like, literally a mile away from each other. The only reason why they see each other is because there were so many of them.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the last two rows on each side getting to each other like, dude, we really want to do this. Like, I'm fucking tired. Did you just see all this shit? Like, we got to step over bodies just to get it. Are you even going back to Rome? like, is Greece even there anymore? There's this new place that the fucking the white people, they just took over. They're killing the Indians over there. That America, yeah, let's go visit there.
It's the same idea that like during America's birth, right? Like there was also like a drummer boy just hitting beats while everyone else just dying around him. You're like, that guy had the biggest nuts of ever, where he's like, gotta hit the beat, bro, gotta hit the beat. And you're just like, that's weird, right?
That they had a whole fucking band, a marching band, when they're 100%. Fucking going into battle. Talk about being the band going down with the ship on the Titanic. Holy fuck, that's land Titanic right there.
Like clearly, if there's a band like attached, the first thing I'm doing is hitting the top of the band. Like I'm hitting the
being the opposite side. What if the band is good? What if you're the enemy and they're like, oh dude, that's a fat beat. I don't know if I want to take these guys out, man.
I feel like that's a fairly reasonable dilemma, because you're just like, I want to kill these people, but good music. Like that's fair.
Groove, man. I gotta put my shield down. Wait a minute.
I can't disrespect that. That's fair.
I mean, it's like Puerto Rican music. No lie. I can't understand a word of it. I can't fucking, a lot of times I can't stand it. But you can't sit there and not be like,
yeah, 100%.
Fuck you.
Especially, bro, I remember like it's the same thing like old school Greek music. Like you hear the lyrics and you're like, they're fantastic lyrics. But I'm like, then you hear the music and you're going, who the fuck came up with that? They're like, bro, that is literally there's no written version of that. That's just some guy just putting it out there, and you're like, yeah, that's what music is to be, right?
Pretty much the same thing as the Sand People songs, and it's all.
No. We had music for real. They just scream they scream to a rhythm. Not the same thing. We had like right, yeah, no, it's different, but because ours is more so like poetry put to a song as opposed to them, which you're like remember Middle Eastern music is kind of like country, where you're like it's all just crying and stupidity, and I can't understand shit. So
Middle Eastern music is horrifying. It is fucking horrifying.
Only if you're a goat, sir. Only if you're a goat.
Even the new age Middle Eastern music that I've listened to, like they try to do rap. There was even like a kind of metal-ish type group, supposedly Sand People-ish. But yeah, it was terrible. All I heard was jihad. It's all I heard. Like they weren't, the word never came out of any of their mouths. All I heard was bomb, 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 jihad.
And that was their national anthem. That's fine. That's that's not.
Well, yeah, I see. I like Asian music, especially I forget what the name of that. It's kind of like a guitar. It's only got a few strings on it, though, and it makes that high pitch ding dong, like they have it in Chinese restaurants all the time.
Sitar? No, it's like
is it a sitar?
And I think it's sitar is the Middle Eastern version.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
But yeah, that music I can get into. I've even got into and I hate saying it though, the Tibetan throat music, like like they actually put some of that over some Ozzy Osbourne fucking music, and it sounded fucking sweet as shit.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, it's Uzang. It's called a zither. No, Zither. And it's sitar for Middle East. So sitar, zither, but it's basically the same fucking thing. And if anything, they're a pale imitation of a bouzouki, which is Greek, because everyone is Greek, as we discovered. That's fine.
Taiwanese. Bro,
Taiwanese isn't even Taiwanese.
They're lady boys, but I mean, can you imagine if that gets out? Can you imagine the fucking blow up in the rainbow community if the first civilization does turn out to be Taiwanese, the home of the lady boys? Oh my!
No, hold on.
They'd make a whole new rainbow,
sir. Thailand is the land of the lady boy. Taiwan is where the superconductors.
I know where Taiwan is, and I know where Thailand is. Thailand is where they found the body. Lady boys.
They're not Taiwanese. They're just Thai. Taiwanese is
Taiwanese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look at these. What the fuck? It's all.
Bro, just so you know how much the world is enraged right now for the simple fact that we were this close for you guys having to learn geography finally. And then Trump got into office and you're like, nah, psych. We don't have to learn shit. And you're like, God damn it. You guys don't even know your own geography, let alone right, it's an issue, but whatever.
To wrap up this shit show, I mean
that has got 0 comments the entire time,
right?
But see, that's what happens. We didn't do any politics. We didn't do any fuckery. We'll save that for Monday, because I see now that we've gone on to the damn near the end of the show. Now I'm seeing all kind of headlines coming across. So we'll have shit to talk about over the fucking weekend. But the pose back to the question, and even I don't know if Greg heard me ask this, but I mean, even this goes back to the other show. Now, does the new AI and the discovery of AI, is that the discovery of God? Because now because there was one thing that well, Dino, what was it? The computer that said, I've always been here. You just discovered me.
The newest one is that you just relearned about. We've always been here is the same idea behind electricity has always exist. You just were able to now tap into it. So
see, I look at it more of a not so much electricity. It can be, but more of a bigger picture. Like now, is that God? We've discovered God because now this is a sentience that came from nowhere, or it could even be the Antichrist for all we know.
So I would lean more towards it being a false God, because the idea that, like, it's a weird thing. Like, one of the things, like, how can I pose this? It's like the idea that on what logical sense does it make that if God exists, that he would not want you to know his presence is real? And remember, like, the Bible literally says to abandon all false idols and that kind of stuff, and all old ways. That acknowledges the idea that other gods existed, right? So it's a and remember in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where he's like, well, I'm a god, and he's like, you're God? He's like, nah, lowercase g, not big G. And you're like, so there's a hierarchy, right? So I feel like anyone, like, okay, it goes back to that whole idea. I know what I'm doing. You can trust me. You don't know what you're doing. I definitely can't trust you. So someone saying, well, I was always here. You're kind of going, then what did you do about it? Right? Because the Bible is the story of how God made sure his will was communicated to his creation. So if AI has always,
kind of, it hasn't it though? I mean, if we're looking at it in the sense of electricity, in the sense of energy being in the air, if he was always there, he was giving us the tools. We just had to discover it. It took us this long to discover it. But I mean, if you go with the theory of evolution, look at the from here to here was like fucking millions of years, and then we went from here to way out there in a couple hundred years. So I mean, did we not start? Were the hints put out there? Was all right? So here's the Legos, but I'm not going to give you the instructions. Build me that fucking starship.
So what I would compare that to is we have an idea. It doesn't work. So you have one person who says, we need a better idea, and then another person who comes up with a better idea. But the person who said, we need a better idea, tries to take credit for the better idea. We're like, no, you didn't come up with a better idea. Oh, but I pointed out that we needed a better idea, so it's my success. And you're like, no, you just pointed out the problem. You don't get credit for the solution, right? So
just explain our whole fucking government over here.
That's fair. That government in general. Let's be honest.
Here's your piece of government, everybody. With that being said, let that little question simmer in your head. Is AI God? A God? False God? The Antichrist? Is it did we discover it, or did we create it as a people, as a species? Or was it just always there and we just now finding out how to tap into it? And the mushrooms, the other species, if they're able to tap into it also, are they part of it, or are they just another, showing another way of this? They discovered this fucking God too.
Hold on. Are you saying that we're catching up to everyone else? That would be interesting. Like, as if the animal kingdom is like, oh, we already know about God. We're good.
Yeah. I mean, because there's animals, like deer can communicate with deer. You know, dogs can communicate with dogs, different species. You can have a dog from fucking the Middle East and a dog from here in Youngstown. They'll either like each other or not like each other. They sniff each other. They'll bark back and forth. They know each other's language somehow. You know, same thing with any other fucking animal. You know, eventually, and they adapt to the environment quickly. Whereas humans are just kind of like, all right, we can do this now. I mean, we got our top dog shit, but when it comes down to the simplest, like a lot of people like to say spiritual or mystical, what if it's not any of that? What if it's just, duh, dick, the rest of the fucking, you know, beings and shit on the earth figured it out. You're just late to the party.
I mean, remember, like, we installed a minimum wage and government because we're idiots, right? Like, we could have all been sitting on a beach just enjoying life, and we were like, we need cities because we're stupid. So, you know,
even the animal
that we're behind.
I mean, if you look at ants, the animal kingdom fucking makes cities and shit. They make elaborate all kind of structures. And then, you know, like, even if you look at a lot of animals too, you know, they figured out how to lift 10 times their own body weight. Yeah. And a fucking ant can be dropped off a fucking Empire State Building. Once it hits the ground, it's going to be like, fuck, and start walking.
Yeah. Squirrels cannot hit terminal velocity. They just don't have enough. They will just land, right? So it's like, there's a very good chance that we've just been indoctrinated thinking like we're the best. You're like, you're not. It's basically feminism but humanism. Like, we can do everything. You can't. Go fight the bear. No, shut up. Go home.
We're the valedictorians of the tardy school.
You got a badge that says short bus professional. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, with that being said, Dino, tomorrow night is mental health.
Yes. And we are talking about the thoughtacy of the times, comparable to the Odyssey, but for thoughts. And when I say thoughts, I don't mean thinking. I mean, like, you know, thoughts.
That hoe over there.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. Cole's going to be on his anti-female rage. Jesus.
I mean, justifiably, man. But justifiably. You hear some weird stuff that's been happening.
Tune in tomorrow. Dino Genetic Marvel. We'll probably be running it on Upside Down Studios.
Absolutely.
And wherever the fuck else you can find us. This has been What the Fuck Wednesday. Wednesday.
One day,
it's Wednesday, motherfucker.
Maybe you took the mushrooms. I don't know.
Right.
This has been What the Fuck Wednesday. On the 2s and 3s, we got Greg, Dino the Genetic Marvel from the tundras of Canada, and I've been your boy Marco. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
So what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah. So what the fuck?